How many of us believe that names have significance on our lives? And how many people believe that names make us who we are? How many people believe names have no significance at all? And if so, what's the purpose of names? Why do we have to name everything, including ourselves? Why did man name everything, including ourselves? Now, it may sound like a trick question. In some cases, it may be, just depending on what place of perception you're in. But it's not a trick question at all. It's a soul recognition question. And with that, with that question, I want to ask another one before I go into the reading for the night. What are you bringing forth that wasn't here before you appeared, before you arrived, before you was born? However, I need to say it for us to understand what I'm saying. And I ask that question because some of us are here for what we can get out of the world, for what we can get out of people. And some of us, others, are here for what we can put into the world, put into life, put into people. And by doing that, we'll receive our just due. Which one are you? Once again, it may sound like a trick question, but it's not. It's a soul recognition question. Salute and peace to the Cosmic Consciousness, Soul Control Family, and Soul Tribe. New subscribers, peekaboos, and passerbys. I'm feeling good for no reason at all. Radiating, operating, vibrating, emanating, and exuding the highest version, the highest light, the highest frequency of my best version. You hear me? And I hope y'all are all doing the same. I said we was gonna go into a reading, but I had to bring a few tear jerkers before I start. And y'all understand why I did when I get into the reading, but I still got a few more tear jerkers. But I post those things because according to titles, according to names, we can be fooled, you know. I don't want us to be fooled by names and titles. I was having a conversation with one of my sisters, my spiritual sisters, that is, and we was talking about these names and titles and so forth and so on, you know, that people be placing upon themselves and don't necessarily have no spiritual ranking whatsoever at all, because they ain't did no spiritual work whatsoever at all. And people are being fooled by regurgitation. People are being fooled by memorization. People are being fooled by recitation. But if you ask questions, you'll find out that, man, they don't even have no real insight into what's being shared. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because I love people, you hear me? And I'm aware of those types, you know? But we need to be aware of those types when it comes to names. You could change your name. Y'all get where I'm going as we get further. You could change your name, but it don't change your character. You could change your name, but it don't change your spirit. You could change your name, but it don't change your attitude. You could change your name, but it don't change your soul. Are y'all walking with me? You hear me? Stillness, abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. Stillness, abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. You hear me? Because we're going to need it. Don't get me wrong. Names hold frequency. Names hold vibration. Names hold energy. Names have their purpose. But are we living accordingly? Usually, when we're given names, or when we study the ancestors, when we study the ways of the ancestors, when names was placed amongst those who was going to be given the name, those who were born on the planet to be given the name, usually we was given names according to or based off what was seen in the soul of that baby. Usually, that's how they did it back in the days. Now people off the chain, you hear me? People got 4-part names, ain't got nothing to do with the soul, ain't got nothing to do with the spirit, ain't got nothing to do with the attitude, ain't got nothing to do with the character that the child gonna have when they grow up. You hear me? So y'all walk with me. But usually when we was given names, it was given based off something hoped to be seen in the baby, male or female, once they become an adult, or something that was seen in the baby, male or female, of the soul born. The reason I point that out is because one thing I noticed in various spiritual systems that I have studied is when something in the person's inward being was upgraded or lifted up or ascended, Kundalini rising, whatever you want to call it, do the inward change, not nothing external, do the inward change, not the outer presentation. Usually, that child would be given a name based off that. See, we don't got the type of elders still on the planet that a lot of us came from. You hear me? The law says that which is likened to itself is that which is drawn. Now, if y'all understand what I said earlier, y'all understand how it coincides, how it correlates, how it corresponds to the law. To the law, a universal law that says that which is likened to itself. God said, the book say that man was made in the image of God. Walk with me. The law says that which is likened to itself is that which is drawn. Now, I just read Moses previously the last time I did a reading. I say that to say names have their significance. But it's about the soul. It's about the spirit that the vibration and the energy will reveal itself through. Y'all stay with me. Y'all stay with me. I think Mercedes is going out. And since I only came to be me, I'm the only space that you will find this vibration. So don't be deceived by titles. Don't be deceived by names. With that, family, Cosmic Consciousness Soul Tribe, and family, we're going to go into the reading. Tonight's reading is a 2-part reading. I'm going to read Elijah and I'm going to read Elisha. You hear me? Consciousness. Elijah. Hebrew, meaning Jehovah is God. My God is Jah, God of Jehovah, Jehovah God. A great prophet of Israel, 1 Kings 17, chapter 17, chapter 18, chapter 19, 2 Kings, chapter 1, verse 3, chapter 2 through 14, and Malachi, chapter 4 through 5. Metaphysical meaning of Elijah, the Elijah consciousness. And Elijah, your name don't have to be Elijah for you to be moving in the Elijah consciousness. That's the purpose that I read from this book. It's a metaphysical Bible dictionary for any of y'all who want one. You hear me? But if we learn how to recognize how spirit operates within soul through the form of different consciousness, we'll understand the characters within the people that we come into contact with to know who's who. Metaphysical meaning of Elijah, the spiritual I am of man's consciousness. So everybody possessing Elijah. Everybody is an Elijah. Elijah on Mount Carmel in 1 Kings 18, chapter 18, verse 19, represents the I am in realization of its unfettered power. Elijah championed the cause of God. Champions of good. The champions of good are the champions of God. We came to put a cog in the system. You hear me? So don't hide your greatness. Elijah championed the cause of God with such enthusiasm that he became violent and destructive. Are y'all listening? That means some unbalance going on. This was the Jezebel side of his character. Everybody got a Jezebel. If you ain't operating in the Jezebel, you don't grow up out of it. You hear me? But this was the Jezebel side of his character. But he was willing to be instructed. See, if you want to learn, you got to be, if you want to learn, you got to be willing to be taught. But he was willing to be instructed. You ever try to teach somebody that wasn't teachable? He slowly learned the lesson that one must receive the kingdom of God as a little child. As a little child. Now, if you're grown, you can't go back to being a little child, but what that's saying is it's going to take some humiliation. You hear me? We're going to have to humble ourselves. He started out with the roar of the whirlwind and ended with the whisper of the still small voice. That's transformation, baby. That's transformation, and transformation has a ripple effect. You hear me? Elijah in 2 Kings chapter 2, 1 through 11 signifies changes of consciousness. So y'all remember earlier I said usually when something in the person's inward being is being upgraded, is being lifted up, is being ascended, it causes a change. And it causes a change in the outward presentation, but it happens within first. And usually when this happened, which I didn't mention earlier, there was a name change. For those who are familiar with studying, you'll know or different spiritual systems, you know, you come in one way with one name, and when you leave out, that you recognize different. Even if they ain't calling you something different, you recognize different because something in the character, in the inward being has changed. Y'all stay with me. 2 Kings 2, 1 through 11 signifies changes of consciousness in the individual in his development and regeneration. Elijah, the spiritual I am, represents the guardian and administrator of the divine law. Elijah was taken by a whirlwind into heaven. The positive or dominant element of the I am must be taken by the Lord into a state of peace and harmony, or heaven. The fiery or destructive tendency of Elijah must be blotted out by the mountains and sweet-tempered obedience of Elisha. Did y'all catch it? Elisha. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Elijah, you know he meets what would become his disciple named Elisha. But the learning went both ways. See, Elijah appeared, so Elisha appeared so Elijah could learn something from Elisha, as much as he was going to be teaching Elisha to one day supersede him. Stay with me. Elijah with Elisha went from Gilgal when he was to be taken up into heaven. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. One meaning of Gilgal is rolling away. It signifies the total denial of sense bondages. It represents the rolling away, meaning we ain't going back down there, represents the total denial of sense bondage. Denial of sense bondage must be followed by positive affirmations of truth. Feel good for no reason at all. I love myself. A positive affirmation of truth could be any affirmation that is positive about oneself. You hear me? Denial of sense bondage must be followed by positive affirmations of truth, accompanied by obedience and the quiet resolution to go forward in spiritual development, symbolized by Elisha, or the inner child. This results in the permanent establishment of higher states of consciousness as man demonstrates more of his inherent powers. Now from there, we're going to proceed to Elisha. Elisha, also Hebrew, meaning God is a savior, to whom God gives salvation, God of deliverance, to whom God gives victory. God is rich. Metaphysical meaning of Elisha is the spiritual I am. So Elijah represented the spiritual I am of man's consciousness. Elisha, or the inner Elisha, or the inner child, which Elisha represents, is the spiritual I am. Y'all stay with me. The man who was appointed prophet in Israel in Elijah's stead, or the one who took Elijah's place after Elijah went on about his business. You hear me? Metaphysical meaning, spiritual I am. The double portion of Elijah's spirit for which Elisha acts is the positive and negative, or yes and no, of truth. Elisha, the tender retiring one, needs the ability to say yes and no with all the positiveness of Elijah. He can have this only by perceiving the true character of the change that is taking place in consciousness. He can have this only by perceiving the true character. Reflecting back to how I opened about how names were usually given, by perceiving the true character beyond the veil of the flesh. He can have this only by perceiving the true character of the change that is taking place in consciousness. Elijah is not taken away, but is translated to a more interior plane. There is open to the one who goes through this change a conscious unity. There is open. There's an open door to anyone who goes through this change. And a conscious unity with spiritual entities of which he has been, and a conscious unity. And a conscious unity takes place with spiritual entities of that which we have previously been ignorant to. I'll say it like that. The chariot and horses represent the vehicles and vital forces that attend the transformation. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. Elisha is often referred to by Bible commentators as a forerunner of Jesus, as a forerunner of Yeshua, as a forerunner of Yah, whatever you know it as. His character, and his marvelous works are easily recognized as proceeding from the same spirit that inspired Jesus, and his gentleness and simplicity are parallel only in the Master. It is not difficult to see in Elisha an incarnation of the Christ. It's a lot of us who are incarnations of the Christ. At the same time, it's a lot of us who are incarnations of the Judas. Let's call it like it is. You hear me? It is not difficult to see in Elisha as an incarnation of the Christ, and he was, in a certain degree, God manifest, just as are we. Jesus was a fuller manifestation of the same spirit. Y'all stay with me. If we admit that Elisha is a type of Christ, that is, the Jehovah Supreme I Am of man, it should be equally admissible to allow that the other characters in 2 Kings 5 relating to the healing of Naaman, the Syrian, are types of various kinds common to all men. Elisha apparently took no part in the healing, simply directing Naaman to bathe. Simply directing Naaman, go to the bath, go take a bath. You hear me? In the Jordan 7 times. But there was a deep undercurrent of spiritual power at work in Elisha. He represented the higher self of the Naaman consciousness, which had been quickened. Jesus referred to this in Luke 4:27, chapter 4, verse 27. There were many lepers in Israel in the time of Elisha the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, but only Naaman the Syrian. I wonder why. Because you can't teach unteachable people. You can't teach doubters. You can't teach your naysayers. You hear me? But we got to walk through them. Y'all walk with me. The servant of Elisha represents the outer. Let me back up. Elisha's dwelling in Dothan means the spiritual I am established in the understanding of divine law. The servant of Elisha, the service of Elisha, the servant of Elisha, the service of Elisha represents the outer activity actuated by the spiritual I am. The servant, or thought action, which had its origin in spirit, became fearful. Our thoughts and words are propelled from the central I am station, like the arrow from the bow, unless they're coming from somewhere else. And therefore, you're going to be uncertain about what it is that you have came up with. They are endued with intelligence and power according to the sending capacity of the I am. Jesus sent his word and healed the centurion servant. When we judge by opposing appearances, the result is fearfulness or timidity in execution. They told me to read that again. When we judge by opposing appearances, the result is fearfulness or timidity in execution. Confidence is restored in all enmity. Confidence is restored in all enmity or all division, all separation, all conflict is overcome through prayer and meditation. These make contact with the great I am, Jehovah, Jah, Allah, however you know it, you hear me? And all the thought realms are lighted up. The adverse intellect is captured and enlightened. And the bands of Syria came no more to the land of Israel. 2 Kings 6:8 through 23. The truth revealed in 2 Kings chapter 4, 1 through 7 is the increasing power of spirit. The increase of spirit is realized in individual consciousness. I can't do it for you. I could be a spark. I could be an activation, but I can't do it for you. You hear me? It is brought about through turning the attention within and acknowledging the reality and power of spirit. Elisha, salvation of God, is man's spiritual I am. The widow symbolizes the state of consciousness that believes in separation from God. Y'all know the story about the widow's son? The widow symbolizes the state of consciousness that believes in separation from God, or the source of being. The empty vessels are the life centers throughout the body, consciousness that have been depleted through wrong use of mental powers and functions. That's another, aka low vibrating chakras, blocked chakras, clogged up chakras. Bringing the vessels into the widow's house and shutting the door symbolizes concentration. Steal your thoughts. Bringing the vessels, bringing your thoughts into the house, into your house, and shutting the door requires concentration. I'm trying to give y'all visuals to give further illustration of what this is saying. Concentration is the result of denial and affirmation. So that means if you're trying to meditate, all the things you don't want to think about gonna come against you. See? And so you have to concentrate. And in that concentration, you have to exercise denial and affirmation. You hear me? What you don't want and what you do want, in order to get to what you're trying to get out the situation. You hear me? Bringing the vessels into the widow's house and shutting the door symbolizes concentration. Concentration is the result of denial and affirmation, the widow's sons. Yin and yang. You hear me? Based upon understanding of man's true being. The oil symbolizes the oil of life, the vital fluid that renews and reanimates the body in the regeneration. That concludes the night's meeting. That concludes the night's message. That concludes the night's meeting. I ain't say nothing out of place. That concludes the night's meeting. It ain't gotta be a evil eye, but an all-seeing eye. Put the one eye. Put the third eye in the comment section. For the night's emoji. We're gonna put the third eye in the comment section. New subscribers, I do raffles at the end of the month. If you subscribe, you watch the video, the emoji for the night gonna be the all-seeing eye. Place it in the comment section. And that will be your submission for the raffle at the end of the month. Cosmic Consciousness Family and Soul Tribe, y'all already know what to do. The night's emoji is the all-seeing eye, which represents the spiritual I am. Other than that, feel good for no reason at all. Feeling good is feeling God. You hear me? May all negative energy that come against us be returned to its sender. You heard? So forth and so on. Thanks for the likes, shares, share the message. You know, new subscribers, bring some more, bring some people in with you. You hear me? If it help you, it'll help them too. You heard? But other than that, thanks for the likes, thanks for the shares, thanks for the subscribe, thanks for donations, thanks for love offering, thanks for those who purchase with me. If y'all see a shirt y'all like that I may be wearing, just holler at me. My information is at the top of my page. When you come on my page, you will see it in the top. Where you see it start out saying thought-provoking insights. You just tap that part and then it'll take you. You'll see my information in there. Cause I don't always have time to go back and put it in the description. You know, I'm be at one thing to the next. Y'all see, I'm starting to rumble now. You hear me? But other than that, man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate y'all some more. Everybody shine in this star system, cosmic consciousness. I love y'all. My name is Sawu. Peace.